That's something we found by chance. When it was a nightclub, it was a busy night, and then part of the floor collapsed. End of the night, everybody left. Got the builders in the next day, said, do you know that you've got a room that's boxed up? That, I have a suspicion, was for keeping people in. And I have no idea who the owners would have been keeping down there. It's a total mystery. You see the hole in the middle of the ceiling there? A young boy fell through. That was the end of him.
The location gives you a false sense of security sometimes. The kind of things that would go on in here, general depravity.
That's like a torture board, right?
There were horrible things happening here.
So you're talking about people with immense money and power. So if they've got a problem, or let's say they're just bad people, stuff would just happen, people would just disappear.
That's really bizarre. They never found me panties.
Thong? What the bestiality?
This is getting way too dark.
Dude, what the bro?
Will you please make a sound?
Spat on punishment secret room.
Women were raped, murdered, and buried here on the property.
There's f***ing bodies buried here. Multiple.
On tonight's episode of the Paranormal Files, we're all the way in England, in the city of Manchester, investigating one of the most notorious and most haunted places in the entire country, the Antwerp Mansion. The history of this place is absolutely astounding. It started off as a mansion built for the wealthy elite. For a while it was a nightclub. There were parties going on in this location. And nowadays it's a venue for arts, entertainment, and ghost hunting. And one of the most infamous spirits here is the ghost of a woman who's seen walking up and down these stairs. So join us on tonight's episode of the Paranormal Files as we dive into one of the most interesting haunts in England that honestly, I had never really heard about before we visited. This is gonna be a really ridiculously awesome episode. The interviews that we just finished are so compelling, and we're just so blessed to be here in the United Kingdom. Thank you guys for helping make this possible. Once again, I'm Colin Brown. Thank you to everybody for watching, and you're watching the Paranormal Files.
You ready to roll? Yeah, you good? Right, hello. I'm Andy Mansion, and this is my home and my place, Antwerp Mansion. We'll go through into what I think was the grand reception room. This is the grand hallway you would have come into in the 1870s, because in the 1840s when this was built, this was actually two back-to-back mansions. So I believe the wall went right through this, and this was added when the building was converted into one mansion in the 1870s by a very particular royal family called the Pinto Leets, who were the Portuguese royal family, and they created this great big sweeping staircase and joined the two buildings together. So this is where you would have come in after you were brought in by the butler into what would have been the grand reception room. If you look at this room, you can see it's got much more decorative cornices around the top, and it's got these two gigantic picture windows looking out over there at what was the main entrance to this building. If you come in these days, our entrance now is over there, which is on the internal side of Victoria Park. This is the only house in the whole of Victoria Park that had a breach in the outside wall. And if you look into anything about Victoria Park, you'll find that Victoria Park was your millionaire's row of the Victorian industrial period. So it was started in the late 1830s, and this was one of the first houses to be built in 1840. And it was just for the uber wealthy of the Victorian Industrial Revolution. So you had nothing but mansion after mansion after mansion, and a big wall going all the way around it. You will know it more like Hollywood residences, where you have movie stars and industrialists all living in gated communities with their own security force. This was one of the first areas I think, in the world to have electricity brought to it and gas brought to it. When you were brought into this building to meet the Pinto Leets, it would have been almost certainly in this room. And this is where business would have been transacted, you would have been greeted by the family members, and then I believe the family would have moved through into this area here. And this is what I believe was the family room. Originally, this is the back wall of the house, and there is in these cellars the foundations of a great big gigantic picture window. Bearing in mind, in the 1800s, glass was very expensive, so all this display of gigantic windows was showing off the wealth of this family. This would have all been grounds originally at the back of the house, but in the 1920s, when it was turned into a private members club, this was all added on, and this was a snooker hall. There were 3 snooker tables in here. 2 of them are still here. These are Victorian antiques, and we built our stage on them when I turned it into my nightclub. So that's 2 of the snooker tables that used to rest in here from the 1920s onward. If we go through this way, I think this was probably the gentleman's smoking room. Again, you would have had a gigantic picture window there, but we turned it into our entrance when it was a nightclub. So that was originally a giant window with its own fireplace behind here, separate room. Could have been for the ladies to retire into while the gentlemen were smoking cigars and drinking brandy, but we also have the dining room around here. Now this is not somewhere that normally you get access to, because this is now my office and houses some of my collection of Lord of the Rings books. These are all screen-used Lord of the Rings books.
Oh my god.
Oh, I've got a lot, yeah.
Dude, that is so
You've got to have a hobby. So yeah, there's Lurtz. I think you'll have seen him killing Boromir. That's one of the Army of the Dead. That's an Uruk bodysuit. You got swords and axes down there. Hobbit feet over there in chainmail. Well, you saw the Judge Dredd APC outside, didn't you? Yeah. I've got another mansion with more of this stuff up the road. Now you're moving into the servants' area. If you notice, the staircase is somewhat reduced in quality and standard than the one that's out here. Now, this was something we found by complete chance. This, by the way, is all the servants' wing. This is servants' dining room. That was the kitchens through there, and their accommodation up above us. That's something we found by chance. We were running an event when it was a nightclub. It was a busy night, and then part of the floor collapsed. End of the night, everybody left. Got the builders in the next day, and when they started taking parts of the floor out, they said, "Do you know that you've got a room that's boxed up?" I had no idea that it was boxed and bricked up. So we put this girder across and left it open, and this extends all underneath us here. That, I have a suspicion, was for keeping people in. And I've got a suspicion that it wasn't for cruelty or nastiness, although the Pinto Leets had interesting ties with trade in the mid-1800s going through to the 1870s when they were here, and they were the Portuguese royal family, or the cousins of the Portuguese royal family. I suspect, as they were Habsburgs, if you look into the history of the Habsburgs, they had this deteriorating jaw because they were all heavily inbred, and this is the same family, the Portuguese and the Spanish royal family, that they may have had a Gaga relative who they didn't want to be out publicly, and I think that might have been not a cruel place to keep somebody. Come in, Bear. Come and say hello, Bear. Yes. That might not have been a cruel place to keep somebody, but you didn't want your relative out on display if they were inbred and a bit gaga when you were nobility. Oh, that's, by the way, why I think they had a separate entrance. That meant that people could come in and out of Victoria Park without anybody knowing who was coming in and out of this building. Whereas everybody else, all the very, very rich and wealthy all up the road, had to come in by the main entrance, and they had security on the main entrance, and there would have been a record of people coming and going, but not in this house, because amongst the very rich and wealthy, they were even more powerful. So, down into the cellars. This here is the meat room, and that is quite literally the chopping block. Victorian times, you didn't have refrigeration like you do these days, so you kept stuff cool in the cellars or chill, and a room like this would have been just for cutting up meats. If you look in the ceiling, you can see hooks There's several hooks where, if you imagine great big sides of beef hanging down, or lamb, game birds over here, rabbits, whatever they could get, all chopped up here and then sent upstairs to the kitchens. So this is basically a cold store and a butcher's shop. Next to it, you've got what I believe was the wine cellar. And the reason I believe this is the wine cellar, apart from the fact you've got stone racking which keeps the temperature cool, you've got all these weird cups in the walls which I would believe were for wooden racking in here, but you've also got, significantly, 2 doors. Look, 2 sets of hinges. You've got to keep the peasants out of the good stuff, so you put double doors on it. In through there is the mansion dungeon, which, as you might be aware, it is an English law that every mansion must have a dungeon. So this is ours. Obviously there you can rest your heads tonight if you're feeling a bit sleepy. And obviously this is just a photography prop. Now this building had something that was very ahead of its time, although it was actually an old thing come back. I'll show you through here. It's quite cluttered because there's tools and more of my Lord of the Rings collection and all sorts, but this is the furnace room. That hole in the wall there, I believe, went into trunking that goes up and across, and if we go back out through this room, if you just look behind you there, you can see that's where the coal would slide in through there.
Oh wow.
But right above us there, do you see that great big wooden piece of trunking there that's not supporting the floor? That's underfloor heating, 1840s or 1870s style probably. I think that was put in when the Pinto leaks were in. And when we go back upstairs, there's grates in the floor. You can see there where the holes are, so that when you opened any of the rooms downstairs, you get underfloor heating wafting heat up to you. Bearing in mind the fact that the family were Portuguese and from much hotter climate than the UK, I suspect they got cold here in Manchester. So they wanted the luxury, not just of fireplaces, but underfloor heating wafting heat up. Right. So they quite literally were burning money, because you would have somebody down here having to stoke a boiler all night to keep it going. There's a rope to hang yourself from if you want. But no, actually this is because we do a lot of suspension work in here as well, because obviously this place is used for more than just ghost hunts. We have photo shoots and art events here, so we've got rigging up there as well. And we've had silks here and shibari demonstrations and all sorts in this central area here. These are the original bedrooms. Not sure what that smaller room was used for, but this is definitely one of the bedrooms. And I think this was the master bedroom because it looks out at what was the main entrance over there. So I think this was the master bedroom. The one on the other side was probably the lady of the house's bedroom over here. Nice sized bedrooms. Lots of activity, as I'm sure you're going to find out later on. And then there's an interesting little feature out here in the hallway. I know you don't speak much in your videos, but what do you think that is? What do you think that is? I'll give you a clue. They work in combination with that running along the ceiling there. You see that big long thing there? Any idea?
Curtain?
You're right. So,
really?
You've got a curtain here, and what are those?
Rope?
Nope, fireplaces.
Oh, really?
So in order to keep it warm upstairs at night, I believe, they draw a curtain across here and have those fireplaces going all night. So if you needed to come out onto the hallway for whatever reason, you'd be warm up here in the night. These people really did like it warm. Yes, I heard that as well.
Yeah. I'm right,
the other residents are saying hello to you. Out into the ballroom. Oh, I forgot. If you look at Antwerp Mansion, the nightclub, these are the legendary Antwerp Mansion toilets. There's a reason why they didn't have any doors. It's because they kept getting wrecked. So in the end, I stopped putting new doors on them. And then everybody loved the fact that there was no doors on the toilets because it made everyone a lot more friendly because they cover each other when they were going to toilets. Lots of friendships and relationships were made by people covering each other while they're having a pee. This is the back wall of the original house here. So you're standing in what would have been a ginormous bedroom at the back. I don't know who it was for because we don't know what the residents used to live like in here. But all this was added on in the 1920s. You can see actually some of the from the last photo shoot. That's actually from Las Vegas. I had to get it imported from Las Vegas because I couldn't get a cube in the UK. And so all this was added on in the 1920s, and this was your ballroom for your private members club. And when you're not here, this is my movie room because that's my screen. So when everybody was complaining in lockdowns that you couldn't go to the cinema, we had this. And that, I think, is your potted history. I'll be happy to take questions, but I think that's more or less it.
What about deaths in here?
Standard, there would have been plenty. Because I know this is for real, and like I've spoken to you when you got here, I don't like putting ideas in people's heads because we don't need to sell the fact that there are other people here because they'll come and visit you. So you'll be telling me, I'll be watching your video in a couple of weeks or whatever, when you post it, I'll go, oh yeah, so they met them, did they? Because there are regular ones that come and visit. Deaths in a house like this were completely normal, because you normally were born in the house that you lived in and you normally died in the house that you lived in. So there's been lots of deaths in this building over the years that we legitimately know about because it's on the births and deaths in the records of the house. Easy enough to find. So that's not unusual. Oh, I forgot to tell you, by the way, this place when it was built was the cutting edge modern style. This was Gothic. This is 1840 when this was put up. Queen Victoria came on the throne in 1836. And then Gothic became the main and most popular style of the Victorian period. But this one was 4 years after she came on the throne. So this was way ahead of its time when it was actually put up. My missus has gone into this with a local historian and listed down all the different families and who died in this place. But I couldn't give you the names. The Pinto Leets are the main family who owned this house and three other Antwerp houses around the world. One was in Portugal, one I think was in Brazil. Can't remember where the fourth one was. It could have been in America. But there were other Antwerp houses and there's still one of them remaining. The Antwerp house in Portugal, strangely enough, is now an arts and music venue, just like this place became as well. But I don't know if any of the Pinto Leets died in this house or not, because they were part Portuguese, part Belgian. So possibly they would have died here, but possibly they would have died in one of the other ones nearer to where they were born. Yes, you see the hole in the middle of the ceiling there. I can demonstrate by the rope that's hanging here at the moment. That was caused by a young boy that fell through that central skylight, because if you go up there, it at the time was all quite dusty and dirty and full of pigeon poo and so on. So this just looked grey. And apparently this kid was playing with the steward's son, the steward being the bar manager for one of, this is where it's a private members club, and they climbed up onto this, and the kid didn't realise that this was glass because it was all dirty, and fell all the way down there. And if you pan your camera down, you'll see it's a fair distance, and that floor is stone, so he didn't bounce. And as far as I'm aware, that was the end of him.
Yeah, that's a long fall.
Yeah, that's not fun.
So when this place was a members club, what's going on in here? Like, what's happening?
Right. Well, one of the questions that I get asked is, it used to be a conservative club. Now, that is loosely a political club, but what it means in reality is it's just a lot of rich men drinking privately and having games of snooker and being away from the wives and so on, because we are talking the 1920s. So basically probably a lot of business deals going on, a lot of political deals going on, and just general drinking and carousing. I've been asked quite a few times whether the Masons were involved in this place, and I would say without doubt. But it wasn't a Masonic lodge, it was a private members club, which are similar, but they're two separate things. So I don't believe that there's any Masonic rituals going on in here. I've no evidence one way or the other. But if you got rich businessmen and rich politicians in one of the biggest private clubs in Manchester, which this was, then you would have had it full of Masons, probably for decades. But well, one interesting thing is that Winston Churchill visited here. I don't know whether it was during the war years or just shortly afterward, but apparently he went on a tour of all of the conservative clubs in the country, and this was the biggest one in Manchester. So he definitely visited here, but also he used to be an MP for an area just about 10 miles away from here. When he was a young man, he was the MP for Oldham, and it's the Oldham and something division of Manchester, but he wasn't a Conservative, he was a Liberal back then. That was before he became a Conservative and then before he became Prime Minister. But I'm quite sure he would have known this place and may have been here several times. Now separately, the Pinto Leets, which I mentioned to you, this is the aristocratic family. I know that the King of Portugal came to visit them while they were here because he caused a big fuss and a palaver because he turned up to visit his cousin who was living here. But he didn't come as a formal state visit. The Council of Manchester found out they had a king in Manchester. Bearing in mind this is the 1870s and the kings ruled the world. They ruled all of Europe. There was very limited democracy, and certainly your prime ministers and your politicians would have been minimal and not very powerful compared to the kings. And he was here. So they organised a great big parade and civic reception for him almost instantaneously. And they had 2 days of celebrations that the King of Portugal was here, and all he'd done was come to visit his cousin in Manchester. So I'm pretty sure he's been in here as well. Now, the Pinto Leets are interesting to me, apart from the fact with the connection with the house, in that you can't really find out anything about them. There's a story about how the wife was very unhappy and missed Belgium greatly, which is why this place is called Antwerp, and why the other houses they had around the world were also called Antwerp. But the other thing that I find mysterious and interesting is the fact that they had a separate entrance, as I told you, that bypassed all the security and all the record keeping of who had been here. And the fact that we're talking about people that were, they describe themselves as merchants. That's it. You can't find out what they were trading in. They were Portuguese nobility, and at the time that they were floating around here, the British were busy going around the world smashing the slave trade to pieces. That makes me suspicious about why they needed a separate entrance, private business going on in here. I don't know exactly what they were merchants in, but I've got nothing other than a suspicion that it wasn't wine and cigars.
That is really interesting, like a mystery. You haven't found any information about that?
No, we've researched into them. You can find out that they were merchants. That's it. Merchants in what? If there was no reason to be vague about it, why didn't they say merchants in wine? Why didn't they say merchants in tobacco? You've got to remember, in your blessed country, you were busily slaughtering each other over slavery. The British had already decided to put it down all over the world, and the Portuguese and the Spanish had pretty impressive fleets and were carrying on with the trade long beyond the Brits. So I've just got my suspicions, and of course we've got this strange little cell down in the cellar. I've got no reason why that room's there, but if you look into it, the walls are plastered. Why would you plaster a wall in a room that's not got a door into it? It just doesn't add up, but anyway. Now we're getting into some of the stories from the ghost hunters that have been around here, because this is not anything that I found anything written about, and I don't think you ever would. You're talking about people who are in the league of people like Elon Musk is today, where if they really wanted a problem to disappear, it can be disappeared. So, and you're also talking about in this area, Victoria Park, this was the elite of the elite in the time that it was here. The police were not allowed to enter Victoria Park, the entire estate, which is huge with lots of mansions all over the place, for 90 years. So from 1840 to 1930, this place policed itself, as well as having these incredibly wealthy and powerful people in here. Now, according to what I have been told by ghost hunters, and funnily enough, a photographic model that was here one day who jumped out of her skin, there's a lady right there, and she moves up and down these stairs and she looks unhappily towards the door. No idea who she is, I've never seen her, But one time I was talking to a photographer in the downstairs hallway, and the model he was with jumped out of her skin, and this was 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon, and she just said, you know, we're being watched, there's a lady right there on the stairs. And this girl's mother was a medium, so she had some of the gifts herself. And I said, I know exactly what you're talking about, I've never seen her, but she's there. And the ghost hunt that was in here on Monday said that they saw her moving through the hallway and going up the stairs like a bright white light when they were here, not on Monday, but the time before. So this is a regular occurrence. Now this ties in with that red bedroom. A lot of people have said there's a very unhappy lady and there's very unhappy feelings about something that happened in that room. That's been a consistent and repeated story that I've heard from lots and lots of different groups over the years. Again, I've got no experience of this myself, but I think I'm probably both less sensitive and less concerned about these things, because things have happened to me in this building that I can't explain, but not these things. I've never felt anything in there, I've never seen anybody on there, but this is consistent and keeps getting repeated by people that come to the building. If it was somebody and something bad happened to them in this house, these are the kind of people that can make problems disappear.
That is so true. We've done a lot of investigations where even with the Underground Railroad in America, it's like there's no documentation of the Underground Railroad.
You wouldn't have it, would you? Because
No.
if it got exposed, you could end up being dead.
Yeah, exactly. So they would never write that shit down. And then when you have super rich people and maybe something unfortunate happens to someone in there, they're not going to document that.
Oh, let's face it, they never found Jack the Ripper, have they?
No.
Everybody knows that story.
Yeah.
Nobody knows who it is. There's lots and lots of suspicions who it is, but there's no actual proof who it is. So if something happened to somebody that we don't know of in this building and they just disappeared, it's just another missing person, isn't it?
Right. Especially when you have no police coming in here for 90 years.
90 years, yeah.
Crazy.
Victoria Park was the uber wealthy and the uber powerful, and you're talking about next to the first industrial city of the world, Manchester, down there. These people were making absolute fortunes down in that city and living in mansions like this. This wasn't the only house of the people that lived here. They had three others that I know of, so 4 Antwerps around the world. And probably the other people that were living on this estate had other houses as well. This was just the convenient one, because you've got to remember it's all horse-drawn transport. So this was a short carriage ride into Manchester. That's why this became popular, because you could get in and out to your business in the city without having to live down there. But you're talking about people of just immense wealth. Like I said, you've got fireplaces on the hallway just so it doesn't get cold. You've got underfloor heating in this building, which at least dates back to the 1870s. So you're talking about people with immense money and power, and they'd want privacy. So if they've got a problem or something bad happens, or let's say they're just bad people and they're regularly getting up to badness, you're not talking about drones flying around filming things. You're not talking about people keeping records. Stuff would just happen and people would just disappear.
What for you has been the most profound paranormal thing you've experienced here?
The only one that I'm absolutely certain of, because I think stuff has been happening to me for years, because I've been knocking around this building on and off for more than 30 years. And it's only when ghost hunters started to come into this place regularly that I started to ask them what was going on to them around here and what I should be looking out for. So I started being told, doors closing behind you that makes no sense, gusts of wind that make no sense, stones falling downstairs when you know there's nobody behind you, doors creaking or floors creaking. So I started to pay attention. Nothing particularly was happening. I noticed the odd stone coming down the stairs, and I was like, well, maybe, but it could just be falling off. Anyway, behind you in the ballroom, we were setting up for a movie, 7 o'clock one Sunday evening, I think it was, in the middle of summer. It's bright outside, nice and bright in that room as well, because I hadn't closed the curtains for the movie. So I'm just sat there on my own, and I can't explain it other than a cold gust of wind, but it wasn't unpleasant. It's strange. It was both cold yet comforting at the same time. Went right through my bottom half of my body, because I was sat down, right through my legs, And it was the strangest thing because I know that room very well. All the windows on that side are triple glazed. We did that when we turned it into a nightclub so that there'd be no noise going out to the neighbours. So there's no wind can come in from that side of the room because there's triple glazed windows. Underneath, all the windows are bricked up for the same reason, to stop the noise going out when it was a nightclub. So there's just no draft can come from anywhere in that room from the side that it came at me. So I didn't say anything to anybody. Found this a little bit odd. Put the chairs back down. The next night we were watching another movie, and two of my friends, one of whom is still around this building, is called Marcus. He helps me making swords and things in the workshop out there. We were all sat in a row waiting for my missus to come, so we were going to watch the movie together. And I watched my friend on my far side jump up like that, then Marcus jolted up, and then I felt the same wind go through my body again. And so I said to, he's called Manny, I said, "What happened to you just then?" And he described exactly what happened to me. Then Marcus said the same, and I said, right, I'm going to ask the ghost hunters what this is. And apparently, you'll probably experience this tonight, there's kids running around up here, and they will come up to you and they will touch you, but low down, because they're small. So they go through you at this kind of level, they'll get hold of your hands, sometimes they'll pull your clothing, but it's always low down because they're children. So I don't know what that relates to, but there's children running around up here. That's what's happened to me. That's probably the thing that's most notable, because I wasn't distracted at all. I was just sat, relaxed, waiting for my friends to arrive because we were about to watch a movie.
And then there's the mystery. Where do the kids come from? Who are the kids?
No idea. You see, the thing is, it's a big family house, but you've also had many, many decades of parties and events in there with children, probably with the parents when it was a private members club. So it could be any of those. No idea what it relates to.
When this place was a nightclub, did anybody ever report experiencing stuff while they were like here partying?
Yeah, no, but the problem is with the nightclub, when people are partying, they might be taking things that are affecting their mind somewhat. So a bit unreliable, but yeah, loads and loads of people reported seeing people on these stairs. And particularly when they're alone in the building, the feeling that they were being watched. Now that's common, and that can just be people being paranoid, so I don't know about that one. But I heard that a lot from a lot of the staff that were in here. But the people on the stairs was a regular thing. I don't know if it's the lady. I think it might be the lady, because she doesn't always appear as a full lady, sometimes it's just a light. So could be that they're just catching the same person.
It's interesting though, because a lot of people say, you know, psychedelics and acid and everything connects you to the spiritual realm.
Yeah.
So all those people seeing that is really interesting to me.
Yeah.
And that was like a thing that people would report to you, like just seeing.
Oh yeah.
Like
it was standard. It became well known amongst the staff, so it wasn't a big thing because everybody knew about it.
That's crazy. Come party with the ghosts. What an interesting way to spend your night.
I always said that this place was like the famous Marmite. You either loved it or you hated it. There was no in between. And I think that if you go at a more spiritual level, because I'm a believer in all this, my grandmother was a medium as well. So, and because of my beliefs, which are not Christian or Jewish or Muslim or whatever, I'm a pagan. So I believe that this life is not all that there is whatsoever at all. There's a lot more layers to our existences. That these people are here all the time. I don't know whether they're memories of things that have happened here or whether they're actual entities that come into this plane of existence. So I don't need convincing that this is going on, and it doesn't worry me whatsoever. But no, people would come here and some people would absolutely hate it and some people would absolutely love it. And I think that's because some people resonate at the right frequency. They're in tune with the building and the building has a life of its own. And some people are not, and they just didn't like it at all. And I think sometimes the spirits around here didn't like them either, so they chased them out.
So a lot of times with haunted locations, owners will tell us that they were almost called to the place. Did you have any experience like that?
Not exactly. I used to come here when I was a student and afterwards to drink and enjoy the place, and always loved it. Just thought it was a fantastic building. But something happened that triggered horror in me, and that was when the people who had the building at the time ripped out the fireplace that was in that room there. And I heard about this, and it was sold, this fireplace. And that triggered in me, like the trickle of stones that starts the avalanche, this whole building is going to go and be demolished. Because as a flat site, this building is worth a hell of a lot more than with this building on it, because you could build a massive block of flats here and make a fortune from it. So I knew where this was heading. And it was that triggered me to stop it, because I wanted this building to stay. Wasn't necessarily going to turn it into a nightclub. In some ways, I didn't quite clearly have a plan. I just wanted to stop it going. I don't want to kind of blow my own trumpet as if I'm some kind of like great saviour that sailed in and stopped the evil property developers from demolishing it.
Well, that is kind of you.
But that is...
Yeah,
that is what I did.
That
is what I did. And the reason for it and the purpose for it was to keep this place. And then, of course, it became so much more in my life. It became bigger, and it became my nightclub, and it was a palace of fun and festivities. And many, well, I would say probably millions of people had a hell of a good time in here, because we were running for over 10 years, so you get a lot of people going through a building over that period of time. So it's repaid me a million times over the effort that I put in. But saving it was not simple, and that's a tale in itself, which I'm not going to tell you tonight.
It's hard to picture what the clubbing scene actually looked like when the club was up and running. Maybe we could go downstairs and you could kind of paint a picture before we're done.
Good God.
I'd love to hear if you had like a crazy story or anything that happened here that was just mental.
Every night. Are you still rolling?
Yeah.
Right, now, here's the thing. When I first started this, there was a book by a guy called Tony Wilson who created Factory Records and the Hacienda. The Hacienda was a legendary nightclub in Manchester, and it's called 24 Hour Party People. They made it into a movie as well. And when I read that book, and there's another one by the bass player out of New Order, which was a band in the 90s and so on, called How Not to Run a Nightclub. And I read both books that were given to me by some of the musicians that were using the place for practicing and so on. And I read both books and avoided all the mistakes that they made. But what they say in both books is very, very true. You genuinely can't really tell all the stories, all the experiences you have when you run a successful nightclub for many years, because they're too outlandish and crazy to be believable. If I told you just like a regular day or two in this, it just sounds too crazy. It's almost like something out of a Hollywood movie about some crazy musician's life in the 70s, you know, like with people unicycling around and snorting off bars and wild going on in all the corners and music at the same time as well. And it really is like that. When you've got a successful nightclub, particularly one that's run by and filled with musicians and artists as well as the general population, it really is like the best party you have ever been to in your life, again and again and again and again, and it just keeps repeating. It's wonderful. But to try to tell you an individual story, well, apart from the fact that some of them may not be tellable on a recording, many of them might not be tellable on a recording, they're almost unbelievable. But whatever you can imagine, it's like being the owner of a successful nightclub for a decade or more, multiply it by 1,000, because I can assure you that the party is that good.
Yeah, all the stories that I read online about this place were people saying it was like the grimy, like house party, techno, you know, like
drum and bass,
just the
reggae,
craziest shit.
Everything. We did everything. See, if you enjoy what you're doing and you like music, which I did and so did all the other people around it, it's not like work. It's fun all the time. I've said this to many other people over the years. If you can get out of bed in the morning and you're looking forward to going work and you're enjoying all the time that you're there. That's the millionaire lifestyle, not the Rolex watch or the helicopter. Those things are things that you use as replacements for the time you've given up doing shit that you didn't want to do. Whereas being involved in a successful and enjoyable venue, it's a joy. Every single day is a joy, just a pleasure doing everything that you're doing. But at the same time, the fun that you're having is massively ramped up and expanded, because you're not only putting food on your table and a roof over your head, every single minute of every day is just a joy. So no, it's a superb life. Hard work, but it's just the best.
Anything else you want to say before we're done?
Probably the best thing is for you to just go and have your float around and have a bit of fun. Go and say hello to the other residents.
All right, man. I like the float around. Have a float around.
You never heard that before?
No, now that I'm British, I gotta start saying the lingo,
Well,
man.
you're a Viking, so we'll have you.
So I'm Dave. I'm part of the Haunted Nights team over here in the UK. I'm obviously based in Liverpool, but I generally come to Antwerp Mansion in Manchester quite a lot. Have quite a few experiences here. This building itself, it's got a lot of character. It's got a lot of activity from time to time. Can't guarantee it always happens, but when it does, it does. I've been coming here for quite a few years now, and I must admit it's one of my sort of favourite, albeit local, locations to come to, which I do enjoy doing. So yeah, but as we are now, we've come into the building. This room itself is normally where we sort of sit down with our guests and sort of chat to them and let them sort of relax. It's what they feel is their sort of safe zone. I don't think there's so much a safe zone in here, I'll be honest. But this room, it's actually, believe it or not, I mean, the owner probably would tell you anyway, but it's used as a school now. It's like homeschooling from this side of it. So you tend to find lots of children during the term time of coming in here and having their sort of education as it is. All the while, things are probably going on all around them, which they probably either do say and don't say anything, or they probably don't notice. It just depends. The area sort of leads through into what used to be a nightclub during the 90s. It's, like I say, a very unique kind of location, very sort of, it's a mishmash of everything over the years. Experiences wise, in here, this doorway, tend to find that there's a dark sort of figure, a large mass, who tends to watch us sort of coming through. More so when we're starting off the night, because we then take a lot of our guests when we're doing investigations here, we tend to take them into that side room. But people are always looking over the shoulder and always seems to think that there's a man sort of stood, or a figure, they assume it's a man I should say, sort of stood in the doorway just watching us and sort of doing his own thing, sort of like shadow figure sort of lurking in the background. So yeah, it can be quite interesting. So as you can see, the building does need sort of a lot of attention to it, but when you look at the building in general terms, it actually does give it its character, it does give it that kind of spooky feel, but it generally doesn't need it in one aspect, because the activity that you can get here can be quite good. For example, there's a piano just behind you. That very piano there used to be in the green room. I had a bunch of guests sort of just gathered in here, 4 of which police officers, actually on the night out, which is very unusual for us, but yeah, there we go. And all of a sudden, I jokingly, the whole sort of Ghostbuster thing with Pete Venkman, when he goes into Dana's apartment and he plays the piano and goes, oh, they don't like that. I actually did it on this piano, and about 2 seconds later, that piano played in there with nobody near it, nobody touching it. Even the police were stood in the doorway and they were like, what was that, what was that? And again, majority of the keys on that piano don't actually work, but they did sort of play away, and everyone's like, we're not going back in there now. It's a little bit too weird, but the safe room's not safe. But again, the fact that you've got 4 police officers who were stood literally where we just come out of now, and no, we're not going back in there because that was too weird. Lots of sort of in this area, because obviously you got this sort of what you can suppose class as a grand staircase. People do feel figures running past them. They do feel like being pushed in some cases. Not like a harsh kind of nasty push. It generally is just a little nudge. It's as if you're in the way more than anything. Some people, including myself, have witnessed what I thought was a young girl sort of just stood where the stairs just bends round, just sort of stood just above the rail looking over, which again is quite a common sort of thing happening in here. Lots of footsteps around. You have got, obviously, just a room that is literally the toilet, but people do not like going in there on their own. You got, obviously, the doorway here leads through to what used to be a nightclub, and then you've got like a small sort of bar area sort of in the background. Now, if you look at the building in general terms, I mean, the owner will tell you himself, it's got multiple uses, multiple functions. They do photo shoots, they do sort of raves here, they do lots of different characters, lots of different energies coming into the building, and it all tends to sort of stir things up in its own way. More so in the sort of nightclub area, which I'll just take you through.
It's really crazy because I felt when you were saying that like a tingle go up my scalp. And I just kind of cued in like there's definitely a feeling here.
There is.
That's fairly like a bad, scary one.
No,
you can feel it.
And that's the thing. It doesn't give you. The location gives you a false sense of security sometimes. It doesn't give you like a really nasty negative energy. It just feels like there's lots going on, lots around, lots sort of looking in on you, for a better way of putting it, and just sort of curious as to what you're doing. So as I say, when I'm normally here with my guests, we sort of initial sort of talks and sort of chats are done in this room. So the figure will be stood over in that doorway to my right hand side. As this is, if you were to look online, you would see multiple pictures from the 90s. And again, it's one of the places, because I'm old enough to sort of have been clubbing it during those times, the early 90s. And it's one of those places that I do wish I would have come, because it's got so many stories from that time about like the youth coming in, partying away. But at the same time, though, you look at it, we have incidents here where if someone's playing music on the phone, like sort of modern music, it's as if suddenly things start stirring up a little bit. It's as if there's energies from those times. I mean, I don't know whether it's people that have been here during the 90s, like in the teenage years, and may have passed away in other ways, and this was a place they enjoyed, you know what I mean, and they've come back to sort of see what's going on. We get that kind of vibe. It's, I mean, from time to time I've been here, I've turned the disco lights on and stuff like that, and yeah, I've had no reaction from that side of things yet. hopefully we will. But in this room itself, though, activity, when we come here, we try to use as a company as many means as possible, whether it be electronic equipment, I should say, and then your traditional stuff like your Ouija boards and your table tip and your glass divination and dowsing and things. And this room generally gives you a good mixture of all that. It's very good, like I say, when it comes down to the likes of Ouija boards, and we do get lots of movements. During that kind of session, you tend to find that around the stage area, just to my left, you tend to find lots of shadow movement. You hear lots of noises, like tappings and what sounds like footsteps across the stage. And again, figures just milling around. So when the lights go off in here, it is generally dark in here, but you do have like the odd little bit of light coming in from like sort of like the hallway and stuff. So it does create sort of those kind of shadowy kind of masses. It's one of these rooms that, again, as I lock up when I'm leaving the location, I tend to find that it does always feel that there's something sort of behind you. And yes, we get that a lot on many locations because we've created a lot of that kind of tension ourselves. But there's been one time that I've locked up because the light switches are just behind what is like an old fridge there, and I've turned the lights off. I've gone to walk out and something said, "Hurry up." And as if to say, like, you've had your time, you need to go. And I've closed that door and I've gone out. So I've not even made sure that the front door's secure. I just shut the door, got in my car and drove off, and then thinking, right, okay, as long as the gate's shut at the bottom end of the garden, that's all I'm bothered about. But in general, it does have that kind of feel. It does have that kind of, when you are on your own in here, it does sort of feel like it picks up a little bit. It's as if it's waiting to sort of, I wouldn't say pick on you, but it's waiting to sort of get your attention because it's had everybody else to sort of play around with, and I suppose you're easy pickings for that matter. But it's so yeah. But again, this room can be like one of the more active ones. But you do get like a lot of touchy-feely type of things in here as well. So around the lower legs and sort of like the upper waist, as if someone's like tapping you on the side. This is, when it was a nightclub, this was one of the sort of separate bars to the actual nightclub side. As you can see now, he stores a lot of his sort of mannequins and little odds and sods of collections. It's not the most active of rooms, but we have heard things moving around in here. So if we've been investigating in the main sort of nightclub area, you can actually hear things sort of like shuffling. It was only a couple of months ago we had guests that were leaving and they wanted to use the toilet, which is the next room over. And in the process of going to the toilet, that door was open and they could see someone walking up and down. They came running to me saying like there was somebody in here, and I'm like, I don't think there is. So I poked my head in here with a little bit of hesitancy, and I was like, no, I don't really want to sort of come in any further. And I couldn't see anyone. But then the lady that I was with, working with that night, she then, as we were going, she went to the toilet and she witnessed the same thing as well. So there must have been something going on for two separate people to actually experience something in this room on this same night, but I don't know. It's so these areas are the owner's areas up the stairs here, and these two doors, and obviously just over there. Nothing like it. Just a creepy sound on the door.
You gotta love a creepy cellar door.
You do, yeah.
It's like, what the hell is it going?
This would have been sort of like the food preparation area, like a butcher's type of area, hence the stone table on this side here. When it comes to activity, I mean, obviously someone's been playing some kind of game or something on there. I don't know what that game is, but like people have put pentagrams on here. I tend to do a lot of Ouija board sessions in this room, and again with a lot of success. We do get a lot of activity on it. All the while though, we will have like motion sensors sort of put around the room, and those sensors will be going off relatively on command. We do tend to find like lots of things move around from time to time. Chairs will be moved. We could leave these like this now, and you'll probably find that maybe this chair could be here the next time we come in, but it's only moved slightly. It's very hard sometimes to sort of monitor everybody. You know, someone could come down just out of curiosity, but 9 times out of 10 when I'm down here, I'm the last person out and the first person back in, and when things have been moved around, it's quite unnerving when you know you're the only person that is actually doing it. People do get touched a little bit in here, but it's not overly, again, not aggressive. It's just, I'm here, just a little bit of attention. So again, this is probably my favourite area to be in when I'm doing an investigation. Sometimes the door behind you will actually open. It's like, yeah, it will creak from time to time, but it's when it opens, it's never like a large kind of whack open. It's just like a nice sort of simple movement, but it sometimes jams on the floor as well. So you know that to move it, something physically has to push it. You've also got a couple of other little bits. You've got like a little sort of wine area here, and we've done the Estes experiments in here, and even though we're sort of lower down into the building, we do get some really good responses in here. I mean, some of the words that will come in, I mean, you get your like sort of your English slang, you get your wankers, you get your bastards, like you get your f***offs, you get all that kind of stuff coming out of like the Estes box. It generally has named a lot of people as well in the groups. So normally when we come down into this area, we might have anything from 5 guests to maybe 8 to 10 guests, pending, sort of spread out, and it has been known to name the people that come down with us. There's your throne, yeah. So this, like I say, it's when you look at the room, I mean, there's a lot more things in here, and this would have been what we would class as our, it used to be the red room, but that's upstairs now. This is more like the sexy photo shoot type of room. So behind yourself there's like a submission cage and a rack. So you can, so yeah, so I'll be honest, I've had a few guests sort of locked away under there and left alone because for some weird reason they want to be. I mean, whatever floats your boat, as they say. But
What the hell is this thing?
That I think that's it. I don't think it's something to sit on. I think it's more to put your head in, like your face down into. I'll be honest. There used to be sort of gimp masks and all kinds of
my God.
Seriously. I mean, just behind where the coffin is, this sort of fake coffin.
Like a torture board, right?
Yeah, well, that's basically a rack that you would sexually sort of be strapped up to and whipped or what have you. I've never tried it, I'll be honest. I've never been there.
Okay, whatever.
I promise you. Don't tell me ex-wife. But yeah, I've never tried. But you've got that there, and this room has a different kind of energy about it because it is used more sort of for those things like your photo shoots. So what you've got is for any sort of male or female energies for that matter that are sort of around and these photo shoots are going on, I think there's always like a peak of interest sort of going on in here. Oh, what are you doing? And as the owner will tell you, it was a gentleman's club for quite a long while, from I think 1920s onwards. So obviously the kind of things that would go on in here, generally like general depravity for that matter, something like photo shoots and sexy lingerie shoots and things like that will probably catch a lot of attention, and I do believe it still does that. I do believe that when they are doing these things, and again it's week in week out they have these things going on, but
God, I brought my sexy underwear.
so I think because those kind of things do still go on, I think it, like for any energies that were around in the day, I think it would pique an interest. And again, people that I know personally, I've been here for photo shoots, have felt things sort of brush past them and slightly touch them gently and so on and so forth. So yeah, I think this room itself, if you're walking around semi-naked, I think, like again, your sexy underwear, as you said, you might get some activity. But yeah, it's a very interesting room, and you do, like I say, have these sorts of three areas, like in here. Ironically, like there are 4 areas, but there's like lots of the owner's sort of bits and bobs. It's very hard to sort of get into, if you see what I mean. We used to have mannequins sort of like stood up, which obviously you come down here in the dark, you're going to see them, you're going to be frightened. But when you know that there's like a mannequin on the right and then you see a figure on the left, you're like, well, yeah, okay, that's not right, that's unusual. But it's it makes you question, and be grateful that the stairs are just there so you can get out. 20 plus years of doing ghost hunts, and as probably yourselves, it's nice to go in, it's nice to experience and see things, but there's always that aspect that you do still get frightened, and you still want to get gone, and you still want to leave. And again, being down here, it does have its moments where you do feel you just need to get out. And as I mentioned before, I'm normally the last person out of here, and it's never pleasant because again, it's always that fear of someone like being behind you and like watching you and sort of creeping up. So yeah, but again, I mean, I don't know whether like be able to sort of get any further access. Well, I'll take you upstairs and I'll show you just upstairs quickly. Again, we'll come upstairs into the building. There's only generally 4 rooms up on this level, but this room, for like experiences wise, I've got to say a lot of guests that I bring in here, I have to say that they tend to experience more along the lines of things moving about, things sort of appearing out of nowhere. Time to time, things like the furniture will be changed around in here, just generally moved about, just the nature of what the building is. But you'll find that you could come in here now and there'd be like a doll on the chair 1 minute, you leave the room and it's somewhere else in the room. It's a very unusual room. Out of all the rooms, I think this is the heaviest in regards to obviously the atmosphere, how people sort of come in. They always come out of this room generally feeling a little bit more sort of low, for that matter, like just not the same person that they were when they came in. I'm not saying like a negative energy, but it just seems to zap the energy out of them, and I don't know. But again, whether there's something, I don't know. It's a weird room in general terms. Other side of it would be, like I say, just that sort of oppressive kind of feeling. But it's not a feeling that lasts throughout the night. Like literally within a few minutes, they'll go out into the main corridor and then go into one of the other rooms, and that feeling is suddenly gone. But again, and it's surely not the dog either. But it's one of the rooms that I'm not overly fond of being in too long, in general terms. I'm a true believer that we all have the ability to sense things and feel things, but in our own certain ways. And for me, this is just the one room, again, I would not generally want to be in. If you asked me to sleep here, this room wouldn't be the one I'd be sleeping in. I'll be honest, I'd rather be downstairs in the night section. I'd rather just sleep in a sleeping bag on the cam bed on there. But this room, yeah, it just has more of an oppressive feel. But the room itself, again, albeit small, it does have its own little character, let's say. So,
I would say so.
it's got
Mood light.
It's got a really weird feeling.
Yeah.
again, it's one of those that sort of is, yeah, it's rather like meditative to a point. So this is generally the red room, as we say. So this room, if you were to look up, you would see that the ceiling has actually been damaged. There was actually a fire in here. No, from my understanding, no loss of life due to the fire. But again, it's obviously you can see these sorts of gold foil things sort of blowing about. So obviously you've got the draft, you've got the wind blowing in. So we can account for that. But one thing that is crazy in this room is, again, if we use things like EDIs, K2s, REM pods and so on, it just 90% of the time it just goes off. It literally is happening all the time. It's one of those rooms where you don't like see a lot, but you feel a lot and you experience a lot. But it's not, for me, it's not a negative room. It's a far cry from the room that we've just been in. This room again has just a completely different energy. For me, quite happy in this room. Still wouldn't sleep in it, I'll be honest. But it does have like a sort of calmer energy, but it's like a playful sort of energy. Bearing in mind, obviously, the history of the building. I mean, you've had families here in the past, with obviously plenty of children running around, and then you've got obviously the energies from like the 90s, whether it's like a residual energy that's just filtered into the building and it's just stored here and everyone's picking up on that, I do not know. But it's probably one of the calmer rooms, but I would say probably 90% of the time one of the more active rooms. So yeah, it's just like a lot of quirky sort of furniture that's just been brought into the areas and sort of just left in some kind of stasis. This room itself, there used to be like a large sort of bath, roll top type of bath over on the far wall here. It was never used as a bathroom, but again, for the sake of the building, like the owner just put the bath in here out of the way. People would report seeing people sat on the edge of the bath. Even though the bath was never initially here in the first place, they'd see them just sat there on the edge of the bath. So there's no reason for them, unless it's, I don't know, someone that's come along to one of our events and joined us from elsewhere, I don't know. I do remember one person that told me that they saw someone small figure sort of like crawling on the floor, not in a creepy kind of crawl, but like a childlike crawl, just sort of coming across. But other than that, the room itself it's not a room I tend to come in a lot or investigate into a lot, but when the door is shut, like I say, things can happen. Again, another room I won't want to sleep in. So, well, again, especially when you've got mannequins stood in the corner, that's, yeah, it's, I don't know, each their own, they're not my thing, I'll be honest. And then we go into the main ballroom. This used to be what we class as the ballroom in the building. It's quite a large room for what it is. It probably matches the nightclub area, like sort of space for space, because we're directly above it. But the owner tends to come in here and he'll have like a big screen a lot of the times, and he'll watch all his movies and what have you up on the big screen. He'll tell you himself, he's watched figures walk across his screen while he's sat here. He'll have two chairs just here with his projector pushing up onto that side, and he'll just watch figures come right past him. Again, it's really weird because, as I say, we're directly above the nightclub area, But the same area here in the far corner is the same area where I mentioned before about shadow figures, and it's as if this like stood like on two different levels in the same point. When we do like an investigation in here, we tend to find that we will get all our guests in here for an initial investigation. We'll get everyone sort of in a circle, joining hands, sort of trying to build the energy up, trying to get these sorts of things going. And lots of people report like being touched on the back of the head, sometimes hair pulling. I mean, something I don't have to worry about, I'll be honest. But they will sort of report that more so over in that far corner. It tends to feel like cold sort of drafts and breezes coming through over on the right hand side. But one thing that is always happening is that there's a report that most of the time that there's people walking around. And bear in mind that everyone's accounted for, everyone's in the room apart from the dog. Everyone's accounted for, and everyone's like joined hands together, so no one individual's touching any other individual. Again, hers being touched, shadow figures walking around, like motion sensor balls and K2s are going off. And that's just within the first 20 minutes to half an hour we've actually been in the building. So it sort of gives us a good sort of starting point for the night. One thing I do know happens a lot though, when we're downstairs in the nightclub area, we will have footsteps. It sounds like people are either walking or sort of quick paced. So again, it's a ballroom, like people are dancing, like people are sort of moving around here very quickly. What that is, don't know. But it's we will send people up to actually come find out, and sometimes we will put people in here just on their own, and they'll come back down 10 minutes later and they will say that they've experienced the same thing. So again, it can be quite an interesting area.
So we asked everybody the same question.
Go on.
Would you say this place is haunted?
I would. I'll be honest. And I'm very much a person where, even though I do this, like obviously week in, week out, as much as I can, I have my own sort of belief factors. I would say I'm a sort of middle of the road type of person. I've witnessed things, I've seen things, felt things, heard things, but I'm still that kind of person that wants that little bit more confirmation and wants that proof. I have my own personal reasons why I want that. And forgive me for saying but I watched both my parents pass away. Now, my dad was one of the hardest men I knew, ex-army, and I saw fear in his eyes the day he passed away. And that's always sort of rocked me a little bit. So wanting that kind of evidence, wanting that kind of proof, for me is important. So when I come somewhere like here, even though it's a very familiar building to myself, it's a building where if guests have experienced something, I generally would believe it because I've had my own experiences here. Even though some of them have been sort of minor experiences, the things I can't explain, that I don't understand. So I will take that as generally the building itself has got something going on, and if the building has got these things going on and I'm witnessing it myself, even though I haven't got a full explanation for a good majority of it, the things that I can't explain, I have to take it as a given that it's some kind of activity, some kind of paranormal activity, and that gives me a little bit of comfort, knowing that that fear that I saw when my dad passed wasn't a fear of nothingness. It was a fear of just obviously not being around with us anymore. So if I witness something here, I will take it, and I'll be honest, again, I've witnessed things here, which makes me sort of think it's not so bad after all. So that fear in my dad's eyes is nothing for me to worry about, because I'm experiencing things that are happening to people that are no longer here. So if that's the case, I'd like to think that my dad's with me, if that makes any sense. I know it's a bit of a long-winded sort of explanation.
No, that was a really good answer.
But that's the way I see it. So if you guys get activity tonight and suddenly we got this, I'll take that. You know what I mean? But again, as the building goes, I do honestly think there's things going on here that lots of people can't explain, but lots of people experience. So that's the best way I can sort of put it to you. So other than that, yeah, but definitely something going on. And again, when you say like seeing things like a young girl at the top of the stairs when, it's 2 o'clock in the morning or something like that, why would they be there? So, it's one of those, but yeah. But as a building goes, I would say there's definitely something here.
All right, man.
Perfect.
You ready to do this?
I'm like, you gotta be.
All right, let's do it.
All right, everybody. So it is 12:01. Would you look at that? It is literally just past midnight on the mother-friggin' dot tonight here on a chilly night in Manchester. So I'd never been to Manchester before. We had some really good food earlier tonight. We've been enjoying our time here, and it just feels so weird, man, to be doing a ghost hunt in the UK. International, baby. We've been talking about this for years, and this is our first stop here on our trip that's gonna take us all across England, then into France, and then finish up in Belgium. Courtney and I have been here for a whole week already. We were on vacation, but earlier this morning, a little pipsqueak flew over from America.
Little old me.
There he is. Yeah, how are you doing tonight, my brother?
Trying to.
Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Anyways. Okay, here's where we'll pick back up.
So, still trying to get over the jet lag a little bit. We're 8 or 9 hours ahead of time where we are in Texas. So, getting used to that a little bit. Flew in this morning, got a little bit of sleep. Now we're here, ghost hunting. Cool to be in the UK. I've never been here before. Traveled a lot, but never made my way out here. So, it'll be cool to get some little travel in, but also get to go to a bunch of cool ghost hunting spots for you guys. So
Yeah.
I'm excited.
I want to shout out all of our UK viewers. It is a significant chunk of the people who watch our videos. I think obviously the top is the United States, and then it's England, or the UK. But it's you guys who make these videos possible, and you show up every single week. Hopefully, we're gonna do a fan or like viewer meetup while we're here. That would be really cool. I know we would get a lot of people out, but shout out to everybody watching right now during the premiere in the United Kingdom.
We love you guys.
Yeah. And if we do a meetup, do. It's $1,000 for every look you take at me.
Whoa, stiff rates. I'm offering myself up for free.
And $1 billion for autographs.
Whoa.
Got to bring some spare change, folks. You heard
It's
it right here.
really just because I don't want people to see how bad my handwriting is.
That's a good ploy.
Yeah.
I like that. That's smart, man.
And a little bit of money.
And-
a lot of bit of money.
Yeah, you could be a
One signature,
billionaire.
I'm good to go for the rest of my life.
Dude, for like 40 lifetimes, you're good to go, bro. I gotta adopt that business
No,
model.
honestly, it's a good one. If you can execute it right.
Wow. Anyways, why don't we just kind of walk around for a sec? You could probably turn that light on now.
I want to know what...
Oh, whoa. Connor's starting the club. We got the club vibes. We've been hearing some noises in this room right here.
Something interesting about this property is the mystery of it. Like, anytime you have these wealthy elites, I mean, that's crazy, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
That they didn't have the police here for 90 years?
And it's not that they just didn't come here. They weren't allowed to be in here.
Crazy.
And not just this house, this whole neighborhood.
Until the 30s.
That's wild.
1930s.
That's wild.
Like, that was like...
You had wars going on and police weren't allowed in here.
Yeah, that's crazy as hell. So, like, truly, if something f***ed up would have happened here, even something just tragic that's not necessarily f***ed up,
Mm-hmm.
the police would not be coming. And, like, the super wealthy elite, people like this family that lived here, they probably handled their business within the confines of this
Yeah.
house.
Any business that got out of this compound, they probably paid someone to cover it up.
Or it just never even got out. That's what someone killing, shooting the business.
Ah,
you know,
yes.
to make sure to put them down there. But I mean, it's really interesting, man.
Oh, this window's broken. Oh my god, it's behind.
Jesus, it kind of is. That thing's creepy. Tonight, for an investigation, our goal should be trying to get a little bit of information about something that may be causing a haunting. Because the only story right now that we know that could potentially cause a haunting, in my opinion, is the little boy who fell. All energy is going to leave a stain.
Yeah.
So all the parties and all of that and all the family living here, that's all leaving a stain. But what both of them actually just described is there being an energy that's unwelcoming at times, or like a random woman who's seen, or there's a woman on the stairs and there's a woman in the red room who's like upset, and then there's the really strange energy, and there's
and that it likes some people but doesn't like others.
Yeah. So there's something that's unsettled, but the history that is really interesting, the whole merchant angle.
Very
like,
much
what were
so.
they merchants of?
People were, back in the day, they were very proud
Yeah.
of what they were doing for business, especially if you can afford a place like this. But to be able to afford a place like this, and then you're very hush-hush about the things that you're dealing with, doesn't really make sense.
Yeah, it's weird. There's just a strange energy in here.
It really is. There's been a few rooms in this house that we walked into, and I can definitely feel like there's someone there with us. So I'm excited to see what kind of communication we can get from these spirits or residual energies that are left in this place.
Well, we're going to set up. Thank you to everybody for watching this evening. We love you guys.
It's not actually $1 billion. That was too high.
Yeah, he's only charging 10 mil.
Yeah.
Discount rate.
Discount rate.
Discount. I'll still keep mine at free because I'm a man for the people. All right, brother. I just got that on camera. That was weird. That one's like not very sensitive. All right, guys. So we're upstairs right now in the ballroom of the Antwerp mansion. There's somebody over there by that bar.
They never found me.
Panties?
They never found me panties? Show that on camera.
Multiple spirits.
Multiple spirits.
May.
So that's really bizarre. They never found me panties. Multiple spirits. I want to introduce ourselves. We're from America. My name is Colin.
My name's Connor.
And we're just here to figure out who's here. Somebody's here with us, clearly. To show us that you're here, you can touch one of these lights again. Any of these red lights or that purple light by the bar. You can make a noise. Or, if this is the woman whose body they never found, maybe your panties were unfortunately ripped off or removed during some sort of an assault. You could also let us know that it's you.
I was executed. Bodies.
Bodies?
That was,
I was executed. Bodies. If there were multiple people that were murdered here,
teenager.
a teenage woman that was raped. You've been touching our inventions, these devices.
Thong.
Thong? Show that. What the fuck?
I mean, thongs aren't old. Keen.
Keen? K-E-E-N? That's a f***ing British
I
word.
know.
Are you keen? That's f***ing crazy.
Expectations.
Expect-
Keen expectations.
Expected to be keen to take off your panties. Whoever's here with us, it seems like you're saying that somebody, a girl, was forced to take off her panties, was raped, what I can assume was multiple times,
stone. And then murdered.
Stephen.
If that's true, if there was somebody, a teenage girl who was raped in here and then killed, can you touch that purple light again, or these red ones that you were just playing with?
That's crazy that they were all just going off and now they're f***ing...
Out here.
Out here? Are you saying you're in a different part of the mansion?
This was an add-on.
Yeah. Well, think about it too.
This was the original huge master bedroom. So if there was a
You could surmise it might have happened in here. You could also knock or use your voice to speak with us.
Or you can come touch us. Whatever you need to do. James is my name. Directory.
that came from literally right down the hallway.
I thought it came from that door. Directory.
That was great if you just made those noises.
Can you do it again?
Bestiality? Show that again. That is crazy, bro. Were you forced?
Undeployed.
Undeployed.
Body cover up.
What? No f***ing way. So there's
This is like
this is really on point.
You're scared of me.
no, we're not scared of you.
We really want to help you. Dane?
Dane.
Oh, a woman. Dame.
So
What it sounds like you're saying is that a dame, a teenage girl, was forced to perform some sort of act. You said bestiality, which is extremely disturbing. Maybe she was forced to do something with a pet or an animal in here, and then maybe she was murdered?
There was a cover up.
are we going in the right direction with your story? You can touch any of the lights or make a knocking noise.
Surname. It's another like English. Can you tell us what your name is?
Rituals here.
Rituals here?
Alright, now that's disturbing. Now you're getting into the elites and bestiality. And
Was it when the Freemasons were here? Common.
Rituals were common here.
Blowing up?
What the fuck? Was a girl forced to perform acts with an animal during a ritual that was performed here?
She shouts.
We'd love to hear her.
I feel like someone's like touching my head.
Where? Like top of your head?
Yeah. It's really weird.
USPS.
That's weird because earlier I said I felt that same thing. I think downstairs, right underneath us. Remember? I said like I felt like a tingling in my head.
Mm-hmm. Traveler.
Perform. Traveling performer?
Clicks.
So
I'm in my 60s.
are you talking about the woman who is seen pictured by people as being sad on those stairs right there? Are you saying she was murdered and forced to perform terrible things with an animal during a ritual?
Chevrolet.
Chevrolet. Hispanic. Samba. Make a dance.
Perform the samba?
Hispanic.
That is weird. Portuguese.
Protect yourself.
Was the family here involved in slave trade?
What if it was a slave girl that was and murdered?
Traded by
You
the
must
Spaniards?
You must
Battle.
battle.
Vital.
Vital. Maybe they thought the slave trade was vital.
Selling.
Okay, so tell us, what were you selling? Say the word. What were you selling? What was the...
That said pee-pee.
Me too.
Famine.
They will harm you.
They're selling famine?
And all of a sudden, protect yourself, they will harm you. Who will harm us?
Children.
Is the spirit that we're talking to a part of the family who built this house? Kissing.
Kissing? Another f***ing sexual word. They will harm you, protect yourself. These EMF lights are just going crazy next to us. Like the whole time picking up random EMF signals. Disco! The ball downstairs.
I mean, this was also
Surely.
one of the nightclub rooms.
To me, it sounds like somebody's like warning about a group. It's obviously they're warning us about it.
Right.
They're warning us about a group of angry, dark people. And then it mentioned a ritual, and it said a lot of weird sexual bestiality, panties, thong, kissing, and a ritual.
Implementation.
And then the bodies and like cover up. So it sounds like from all this information, there was a group of people doing rituals where people were raped and murdered. And then a bunch of women's names. Joan, Shirley, Emma. Are these
Too many.
too many women's names?
Were you one of the victims or did you witness it?
Don't go.
And this person's like pleading with us to stay. Will you stay a while? Don't go.
You must help.
What's that noise? Did you hear that? It was like a from right behind you. Was there a group of women that were victimized in this room by a group of men? To say, yes, you can knock on something, you can move something in here, or touch any of our lights. You see that red light right there? You can touch that. You can touch that little one, or that purple little glowing circle up there. Just give us one sign so we know we're talking to you. It's really weird. I keep getting, it might be because I have shorts on, but I keep getting the cold that he was talking about. It's almost like they're afraid. I feel like a very, like the spirit is like,
I'm not going.
I'm not going. Whoever's here with us.
I'm not going to tell.
Yeah, right. It seems like there's almost the angry, evil people and the girls here. Whoever the women are here, you can tell us anything about what happened to you. And those men don't have permission to hurt you.
Cellar.
Not so.
Outside.
Outside. What did that say? Offerings?
Offerings.
They were offerings. So were these people hurt for a ritualistic purpose?
XXX.
What the f***? That's f***ing crazy. So what's the name of the woman who's on the stairs? I'm assuming she was victimized in this manner? Tiffany! What?
Tiffany potentially.
Maybe she forgot her name. Tiffany? You're the woman on the stairs?
Prague.
Spells.
Spells. And which earlier? Spells? Prague? Maybe she was taken from there, or that's where she came from. And the spells and rituals and witch. Are you afraid to talk to us and give us a sign?
Danger.
Danger, they're f***ing afraid to. And it's really weird when you think about it, man, because this room would be a perfect ritual room. Like, right now, whenever this was added on, and then also back when this was the biggest bedroom in the house. Like, one of the biggest rooms. If we move to a different room in the house, will it be less dangerous for you to speak? Dining chef.
Maybe down.
Down in the meat area.
Infrastructure.
Chef infrastructure.
We won't stay.
We won't stay.
Keyboard.
Again. Will you play the piano for us?
Christianity.
I feel like we should.
Hairpins.
Hairpins. I feel like we should move to another room. Let's just walk out here.
Serbia.
It said Serbia? Prague, Serbia? Could this be where the girls were like trafficked in from?
Yeah. Celebs.
Celebs. Oh, you know what's interesting? This is a blue door.
Blue doors.
No, this one's like green. This is like distinctly blue, and this one's white.
Replied. This room, I get a weird vibe from.
Yeah, there's a.
Children want to speak.
Children want to speak.
Yeah, there's a. Yeah, there's a.
Is that who we just heard?
That straight up sounded like a fucking kid screaming, but I felt like it came from over there. is that? Wait.
I can speak through this.
What the was that? Hello? Bro, what? That sounded like a kid like... Like, what the though? It's like 1 a.m. Like, obviously there's no kids around that are gonna be screaming. Do you want us to go over here? I mean, I personally...
Hierarchy.
It's really strange that it said blue, and we were kind of asking like where we should go or what happened, and we can't make this up. Like, that's a white doorway, this is a green one, that's kind of like aquamarine teal. Keller. And this red room,
Joanna.
another woman's name. This red room is where... Oh, it's my place. This is where they say there's like an angry or like woman who's frantic in this f***ing room. And I think it's also really just a... What is it? Organ? It's a weird connection. Now this is going to sound way out there, but this is literally a room that's painted red, and red rooms are like a supposed thing where men pay money to like murder women. So it's just a bizarre connection. I'm gonna bring her shit and sit here.
Alright.
Missions. Kid.
That's a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, dude, look at that!
I know.
Look at that! Holy f***.
Harm you.
We won't harm you.
Dude, what the f***, bro?
That's like
Holy
steady
shit!
all the way.
All the way to the top. Red. What? Oh, dude, I got goosebumps.
Mhm.
Did it say demonstrated?
Make a sound.
Make a sound. Will you please make a sound?
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh my god, dude. Every single hair on my body
know.
is standing up. Holy shit.
Is this your room?
Dude, it says
The person we've been talking to?
I can't go. Maybe the unhappy woman's like trapped in here. You hear that? Oh my god, bro. This is... Look at that
I know.
paralight.
It's like someone's standing on top of it.
That is f***ing crazy, dude. And what is all this shit?
I think it's just
Fortune.
bad.
Let me go see if I can on the back. That's insane.
I'm just gonna make a note. I gotta ask Connor if he just made that knocking noise.
It said gathering energy on my phone. That REM pod died, and then this is completely dead.
Yeah, this is like insane.
And then Necrophonic tried to say something, and it malfunctioned.
Did you knock?
No.
Shut up.
No.
Wait, no, seriously.
No, I'm being dead serious. I've been sitting here the whole time.
9 o'clock.
What's the Necrophonic say before this one?
Bro, I'm not even kidding you. What the f is going on
All
with
of
this?
all of our devices are going crazy right now.
Bro, that one's
I know.
dead too. That REM pod, that purple one is dead.
No.
Yeah, the light's off. What the absolute...
After it says we're gathering energy.
Look at this. It's dead, bro.
What's Necrophonic say? Like
Nowhere to go.
nowhere to go?
Yeah.
10.
9 o'clock 10? Dude,
That
that is
Paralight?
so crazy. What'd you say?
The Paralight just being like stuck there?
I mean, I've never seen so many devices.
You hear that?
What?
I'm getting like a really weird feeling. What did he say about this room?
This is the one people don't like, and they
Dominic.
spend a lot of time in, and all the devices go off. And there's a woman in.
It's not any electrical shit. You can see all up in the roof. There's nothing. There's no lights in this room.
So, in the last room, we were talking to a woman or women. Rejected her. Hooded man rejected her. Bravery, hooded man rejected her.
Who's the hooded man?
What the fuck? That's crazy. She was brave when the hooded man rejected her. She was killed for it, maybe? Look at that thing all of a sudden tweaking.
Can you make a noise for us to
Robinson.
show us that you're here?
House.
House. We were talking in the other room to the women who were talking about a cult that possibly made women perform sex acts with animals before they were murdered. And there's a woman who's been seen on the stairs, and according to our tour earlier, there's a woman in this room who doesn't really respond to men very well.
Jeremiah.
Was a bullfrog?
I was literally thinking that same shit. That's crazy.
Is that true? You can touch that purple light right there, or this red light. If the woman in here is trapped. Or I'll ask the woman myself, are you trapped? Auntie. Aunty.
Chris.
Auntie Chris. Kris.
I'm protecting you.
It sounds like you're protecting us from the hooded men. Who are they? Disguised. What the fuck?
What are the men in the hood?
Hooded men? Who are they hiding from? Disguised 70?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. That's f***ing crazy. It sucked the energy out of that. Sucked the energy out of the REM pod. Killed that before I changed the battery.
I'm in the corner.
I know this has like nothing to do with it, but the paint on the wall is making like a smile from where I can see it. There's like 2 eyes and a mouth.
Film it. See if you can see it.
You can a little bit.
Edith.
It's like a big mouth.
Why did you want us to come to this blue room?
Dorothy.
Who's Dorothy?
You are in danger.
You were in danger?
You are in danger.
And she's protecting us by being in this room?
Uh-huh.
Tapping on this wall right next to me.
So let's try an experiment. To the spirit that's in here, can you knock or tap on something? Wallpaper! What are the odds?
Died.
Died?
In here? Can you let's go with what we were saying. Can you knock or tap on something if you were murdered by these men with the hoods? Just knock once or tap on something. Can you tap once if you're a woman or knock like this?
Please get out.
There was a knock right next to me, dude. Okay, so she's a woman.
Did you bring us in here because you're trying to protect us from something?
Is there fucking NASCAR going on outside? Jesus Christ.
Did you bring us in this room because you're trying to protect us from something?
President.
Republican marriage.
President? Republican marriage?
That's
What the
really-
fuck is a Republican marriage?
That is so strange. President, Republican, and it's weird because they have like Republicans.
What is a Republican marriage?
There's a knock.
Here's some information.
Oh,
Huh.
it is a method of execution. Tying a naked man and woman together and drowning them. It was popular in France.
Well, that is extremely interesting. It's also interesting because it said shard, and that's a famous building in London that I was right next to last night.
Mm-hmm.
A mission.
That's crazy. Ordered by local Jacobin representative on mission Jean-Baptiste.
Really?
Yeah.
A mission. How weird is that? If you're with us still, can you make another noise or knock?
Conspirator.
Conspirator.
Oh my god.
Bro.
It's f***ing 1 o'clock in the morning. What are these people doing? It's like there's 1 mile circle. Right?
Fortune.
They're just driving in circles around.
What's going on?
House.
Fortune House. It said house on my device too. Are there bodies buried somewhere on this property that have never been found? Is that what you've been trying to tell us? If there are bodies still here on the property, you can knock something, move something, touch that purple light, touch this red, touch right above the fireplace.
Knock something over.
The woods.
The woods. It said outside the woods. Are there trees on this property?
There's trees. I wouldn't call them woods.
Sheep. near the trees on this property, if there are human remains buried, will you make a noise for us and confirm that, or touch one of our lights?
And it goes down.
Oh! So there are bodies buried in the forest? Megan.
I was so scared.
Can you touch that purple light again?
Maybe.
Maybe. I think we're gonna go move over into that room at the end of the hall over there.
Can you follow us over there?
Oh, dude, I can see it sucking the power out of it. Literally, bro, look at that.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's f***ing crazy. That light is supposed to be bright purple.
This is my home.
This is my... Oh!
Bro, right when that light went out,
Mm-hmm.
this one went off.
It's like flickering. Like it's dead. What the fuck? It's literally sucked the energy out of all of our devices.
The Father.
Alright, well, we're gonna move over to the next room. You can follow us over there. Oh, that's fucking creepy, dude.
Is there anything else you want to do or say before we leave this room? What the f***?
What was that? And now the light's completely back on.
I just got it on camera turning back on and making a noise.
Scream.
Screen. Did those hooded men doing their ritual?
And it's off.
Did they bring something dark into this house and that's what people think?
Spirit voice.
Vision.
Vision.
Spirit, voice, and vision. Is that what people feel uncomfortable about sometimes? The darker energy that was brought in by these rituals? I don't like that. Is it safe for us to go into the room at the end of the hall? If it's dangerous, touch one of these lights again. Just so we can be warned. Check it out.
Really?
Check it out.
Alright. Fatal.
Fatal?
Is it gonna be safe if we go over there? Go check it out. It's gonna be fatal.
That's comforting. Alright, we're gonna go over there. Let's do this.
Destroy.
Destroy. So, we don't usually do a lot of infrared, fully dark stuff, but right now we are... Dude, this thing is going f***ing crazy right next to me.
Others.
Others? Mm-hmm. Oh, this is the room that the others are in? Look at that. That's crazy, dude. So, this is the room that everybody feels really uncomfortable in. I definitely feel uncomfortable in here. This is definitely the worst feeling room. And it was encouraging us to come over here. Now,
in my opinion, what this is all pointing to tonight is hello?
Sound. Kenneth.
What did that say?
Help them. Vortex.
Befriend, dude, it literally said friendly befriend, help them. Alright, it's pitch black. This is creepy as hell. Fill me with his blessings. I think we just heard you. We were told we should help them and befriend them because they're friendly. Who's out here right now?
Ray.
They told us earlier that you like to slam and shut the doors around here. Can you do that for us?
Group of us.
Big group of us. Dude, do you feel that cold? Mm-hmm. This is freaky. This just got very freaky. People don't even understand. Like right now, we're just staring at it's just pitch black, dude.
I'm already holding this light on in my hand, but nothing. It just pointed against me because if something runs up on us, I want to be able to see where I'm going.
Bro, this is crazy because I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but both of my legs are full goosebumps. All of a sudden.
Are you up here with us? We heard you making noise.
1930s.
Club. Could you make one more noise for us? We're not afraid of the big group of evil hooded men. Are any of those hooded men here, or the thing that they tried to, the energy they brought on from the ritual?
Sorry.
Alright, let's go back in the room.
I don't want to sit this.
Yo! Spat on punishment secret room. All in a f***ing row. Spat on punishment secret room. What the f***? They found a secret f***ing room that was like
Downstairs.
yeah, like a punishment room.
Oh my god. Neck torture.
Neck torture, like choking. Alright.
This K2 meter has been going crazy, but I'm gonna turn it off. I really hate that creepy little mannequin over there. This thing said secret room, empty it. Like there's something in the room.
Alright. So, to whoever's in here, we have this device. It's a voice recorder. So, you might not know what that means. But if you speak using your voice and your words, we should be able to hear the answers to the questions we're asking you, that you're telling us. So, just try your best to answer our questions.
Concentrate. Yeah, try to concentrate. Alright. Alright, I'm gonna press record.
They never found me.
What? Dude. There's bodies buried here. Multiple. Alright.
Alright, so can you tell us, is it true that women were ritualistically abused, murdered, and buried here on the property?
Were the people who built this house involved in the slave trade?
Who were/are the hooded men?
Are there bodies buried on the property?
What was the point of this ritual abuse and of killing these women? What was the point of that?
Is the woman's spirit protecting us right now?
How many people died here in total?
Is there anything you want to tell us about this house?
Creepy in here.
Alright, so can you tell us, is it true that women were ritualistically abused?
Oh, I forgot. This device said electro.
Electro.
Like the music that would be playing in the
Oh
club.
shit!
Like electro.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird? Yes! It just said in all caps. 14. The teenager. The young girl.
Right. So, can you tell us, is it true that women were ritualistically abused, murdered, and buried here on the property?
What the f?
No.
What the f actually, bro? Yo!
Murdered and buried here on the property?
Whoa, bro. Oh my god, I got full body
chills, too.
chills. Holy shit, dude. What is it? It sounds like it's saying like taken. Or cages. Or that is so f***ing freaky, dude.
I have no
Murdered and buried here on the property?
Save me.
Or I heard.
Murdered and buried here on the property? Were the people who built this house involved in the slave trade? Who were /are the hooded men? Are there bodies buried on the property?
There is.
What was the point of this ritual abuse and of killing these women? What was the point of that? What was the point of that? Is the woman's spirit protecting us right now? How many people died here in total?
I hear 7.
Is there anything you want to tell us about this house?
Bro.
Why are these the loudest EVPs ever? It's louder than we're talking.
Yeah, that's unbelievably freaky shit. Dude, it's so this thing like hates women. Wench. And this is creepy. It says
Oh,
8.
shit. I wasn't even paying attention to this. Follow us behind you. What are you using? Illegal. It disguises itself. Disagree. Associate. Hello all. Dude. Are you ready? I was wealthy.
What the f? That's a shitload of words. Mine said Thomas, Spiritus, correct apparition, twin, looking in the window, 8 spirits, canal. How freaky that we're right next to a window too. Alright, let's do one more, just like 4 questions, because that was so crazy.
Okay.
Let's ask about these hooded, because I'm really curious. Alright. Who were the hooded figures? Who are the hooded men? Can you tell us?
What kind of rituals were they performing?
Were these powerful men that were participating in these rituals? Wealthy men?
Were you a victim of these men?
What's the evil energy that people feel in here? The uncomfortable negativity.
Are you the one making me feel bad right now?
Dude, it got so cold in here while we were doing that. Do you feel that?
Yeah.
And this thing said, do not trust. Night home, 1950s. Alright.
Alright. Who were the hooded figures? Who are the hooded men? Can you tell us? What kind of
I heard they
ritual
were
were they
powerful men.
performing? What kind of ritual were they performing? Were these powerful men that were participating in these rituals wealthy men? Were you a
It's like there's multiple
victim
people
of
having a
these
conversation.
What's the evil energy that people feel in here? The uncomfortable negativity? Are you the one making me feel bad right now?
Well, whatever's going on in here is really, really freaky. And it sounds like there were some sort of powerful people that did some sort of ritual with hoods, murder.
But I think it's time to go do the Estes in the cellar next to the secret room.
Right when it said that, it said stop.
Maybe these people are nervous and they're trying to cause a ruckus because we're finding out shit that wasn't known before. Before we go downstairs to do this, is there anything else you'd like to do for us or say? Investigator. It's like they're like thankful that they finally got like an investigator.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they wanted a police investigator, but they got a paranormal one.
I'd like to think that's better than nothing.
It is. Anything else you'd like to do before we go?
Complete silence.
Dead silent.
The most quiet it's been all night.
It's fucking eerie.
Like no wind or nothing.
Hey everybody, it's Colin here. Thank you for watching today's video. Hello to all the new subscribers and hello to the rest of our beautiful, wonderful, spooky family. As you know, every single week here on the channel, we give away a free gift bag to one lucky viewer of the show. And this week, to enter the contest, all you have to do is like today's video, let's smash that like button, and comment spooky in the comments section below. I'm gonna give y'all 10 seconds to do this now. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So go comment. You can comment multiple times. It helps the video so much. But anyways, let's get back to today's video. Thank you for listening to my little spiel. I love you guys so much and stay spooky. So right now we're down in the basement. This is the meat slab. Tonight has brought forth some disturbing allegations about the history here. We're not claiming at all that what we've received is 100% the truth. We're not trying to add anything dark to this place's history. And I do want to preface all of these findings and kind of state afterwards that this is just simply what we got from our devices. You can see the chronology of what happened tonight and where we drew those conclusions. So you can make up your mind as you will from this evidence, but from what we've gathered, it seems like it's pointing to the fact that there was some sort of a group conducting rituals. They were wearing hoods. Women were assaulted, murdered, and it's saying that there are bodies buried by the trees outside. Before we start this Estes method session, is there anybody down here that would like to make contact with us that could make a noise or give us a sign? It's way too quiet. All right, my brother.
Alrighty. For anyone who's with
Your mother's.
us right now,
How about you?
can you tell me,
Impatient. The eggs are rotten.
were there women abused and murdered in this
Oh,
house?
yeah, plenty of them. One lady, come on. Dave?
Who was doing these assaults?
Man in the trench coat.
So,
I'm sorry, I'm going to try to not do a bad British accent, but that's just the voices. It's appropriate.
It's pretty bad.
Squeal like a pig.
So it was these cloaked
Sunday
hooded
the
men?
1st.
It was the hooded men that were doing these assaults and murders?
The what?
Wonder if we're around.
Look behind you. Whoa! Death. Knocking on. Laying on me.
Are you who we were talking to upstairs?
They did it. Press send. Bastard.
Who did it?
There's a lot of voices, man.
Can you tell us your name?
I'm looking for it. Don't know.
You can't remember your name?
It was taken. You want to know something?
I do. What do you have to tell me?
They can take whatever.
So they can take anything like your name?
They're still here. Oh, I don't like that.
Was it the original owners of the house?
There were reason to scream. Teenagers. It's a really bad stink.
So what happened to you?
I had an attitude.
And that's why you were killed?
Whore! Cousins? Spread it all.
Are there still bodies on this property?
Police officers.
There's police officers' bodies on the property?
What's all this about now?
We're trying to help in whatever way we can. Figure out what happened.
It's
here.
a little room. Body?
There's a body in a little room? Is it the secret room you were talking about upstairs?
No. That sounded like a woman crying.
Why did they hide that
They
room?
wanted power.
Why did they hide that room? What happened in there?
It was dreadful.
Is that where they kept the people that they were assaulting?
It's a garbage dump. For souls. Connor, 700.
Connor 700. Why are you saying my name?
You need to get out.
Well,
They're trying to warn us.
we're gonna leave soon. We really want to know.
I feel weird.
We really want to know what exactly
Underneath
happened.
the city.
Were you one of the victims?
You'll never know. You bastard mother. She's smiling.
Why are you talking to me like this? I'm just trying to help.
Oh, I just heard like a scream like, ah!
How many spirits?
Daddy!
How many spirits are in this place? Can you tell me that? How many spirits are here?
7?
7 spirits? Were they
Go
all,
on, go.
Were they all victims?
Some photos were taken.
When did this happen?
They had the devil in them.
When did this happen?
Stealing them.
Stealing people? Like
Dick pic.
slave trade?
They weren't missed.
Well, that's f***ed up.
They were quite fit. Are we almost done?
Yeah, we're gonna be leaving here in just a little bit. Is there anything else?
Get the f out.
Is there anything else you can tell me about this place?
The face is bruised.
What face?
The woman behind you.
What's the,
Oh, and I just heard this like that type of sound.
What's the woman behind me's name?
I will not stop.
That's not a name.
Put a sigil on.
Well, there is a sigil of some sorts on this table.
The room's upstairs.
The secret room?
That's f***ed up.
I said that earlier.
Ooh, a man's voice. She's right there. Like that. I get a really freaky feeling, bro. I feel like there's a woman behind you. Is like the general vibe I'm getting.
Are you the one that's trying to protect
And
me?
I'm like seeing, I'm going to describe what I'm seeing in my mind. I think I have a loose visual of the room. And I feel like it's the woman from like The Grudge or The Ring. But she's like 7 foot tall with her arms out like.
I don't like that.
Ugh, and I'm getting chills actually.
I'm feeling very.
It said, "Hello, sweetie."
Oh God.
I f***ing hated that.
Are you trying to scare me? Is that what this is about?
Yeah.
Why are you trying to scare me if we're trying to help? Do you not want help?
She's not a she.
Well, what does that mean?
You know it? Open your sight, boy. Sigil's life. Dude, this is crazy as f***.
So, is the person behind me not human?
Yeah,
The f*** does that mean?
take a look. Right there. The woman. Oh, it's a creepy slight voice right there. The woman.
I don't see her. Don't necessarily want to either.
Listen. I found her.
Where is she?
Or my family. She lives here! Oh, dude, these voices are hella creepy, man. I heard, get you.
Why?
We brought her in.
Are you the one who killed her?
I think that thing that I'm seeing, it's got like blue skin. I'm seeing it. It's like a blue skinned 7 foot tall woman with a white dress literally going, like standing right by the entrance. I don't know what the f that is. Get out of here.
Alright, well,
You were told just what to do.
then we'll leave. Thank you for talking to us tonight. Well, what do you want from us?
He was Jonathan.
The guy who was assaulting these women?
Oh.
Why was
There's
he
a
doing-
really creepy like corpse, like that's the best way I can describe it, voice that keeps doing like
Why was Jonathan assaulting these women?
Couldn't get enough.
Well, that's f***ed up. Is Jonathan
She's
here?
approaching.
Well, we're not gonna hurt you.
Give me a hug.
We're not gonna hurt you. You don't have to be afraid of us. We just want to. We're just wanting to help you.
Coroner. Get down.
So, are you buried here on the property?
Yeah.
Where at?
Out on the parlor green.
What's
By
that
the
mean?
water.
By the water? Who did Jonathan bury you
She's
out
not
there?
human.
You're really confused.
Yo, bro. My spirit box just died in my hands.
What the?
Yo, it died, bro. Look at that. That is crazy as hell. I know it just turned back on, but look at, there you go. You can see it. It just died in my hands. What the f are the odds of that?
This shit's.
Look at, there it goes. It died again. What? Yo, that's crazy as hell. That's literally never happened once.
I'm freaked the f out right now.
Dude, I was seeing a woman standing right there. Like The Grudge.
Yeah.
And going like not like a nice kind woman, like a 7 foot tall. And just the vibe I was getting, I don't think that's like a human entity.
Yeah, I asked that and you said no.
Really?
Yeah. and that's when it died.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a first. This has never happened on the Paranormal Files. That's
And I was like, I'm trying to help you. Like, why are you trying to, like, scare us? It would not give me an answer. It was just saying, get out of here. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, were you the victim? Uh-huh. Like, then, like, why aren't you wanting to talk to us? Like, you don't have to be afraid of us. We're not going to hurt you. Like, we don't want you to be afraid of us. So, like, why are you doing this? Then they were saying, you see, you're just like they grudge. I'm like, well, none of this makes sense. I'm like, I thought you were the one upstairs trying to protect us. So, like, what's going on now?
Yeah, I think that it's a different entity here.
Yeah.
Because that was really
But
freaky.
it was answering some of my questions like it was a woman upstairs.
Didn't it say earlier something like deceive?
I have no clue. I can't remember.
Alright, we're going to leave the Antwerp mansion. Thank you to the women who have been sharing their stories. F you to the hooded men that and murdered these women. And I don't really know what type of salutation to give the creepy 7-foot-tall woman standing right there.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I don't know what to say to her.
Thank you for not killing me.
Do you have anything else before we go left to say before we leave? This is your last chance to share your story. Whoever's here, whoever's been speaking with us, you have to stay here. I'm protected by white light and God and whatever else is there. The white light surrounds both of us. So you cannot follow us. You have to stay here.
Especially the 7-foot-tall, scary grudge woman. In Jesus' name.
Are our lives.
I don't know.
No,
I stopped asking myself that question a while ago. Because the more I try to justify it, the more it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, right.
Alright.
All right, man. All right, so we're back. It's, what is it, Thursday?
Wednesday.
I have no clue anymore.
Thursday. Yeah,
Thursday.
The day of fall.
And we were just telling you about what we kind of got last night. What are your thoughts? And like, what did you just tell us? Because I had to get my camera out.
You don't want to know what my thoughts are. They're far too complicated. But on what you were talking about, well, what Connor said is that I'll tell you what I just told Connor, and then he said about it confirming. When we were doing some work under the floorboards in what we call the forgotten bedroom, because it's kind of tucked away, you'd easily not realise it was there. We found bones underneath the floorboards. Now we're talking about small pieces, so I'm just of the opinion, oh well, they could have been eating some chicken up there and one evening it's gone under the board, or it could have been a dog or something years and years ago, but this was old bone under the floorboards, just the odd little piece and so on, like a just about this kind of big, just bits and pieces. So, but we haven't done any DNA tests to find out whether they're human or not. But You know, I do know, actually, I forgot to mention this to you last night. In that room, in the forgotten bedroom, I once had a visit from a child who had lived here when it was the private members club. But he was a full-grown adult in his 50s when he came to visit. And he just happened to be in Manchester, moved away many, many years ago. But this part of the building, which is the living accommodation for the servants, they'd lived upstairs in there because that's where the steward would normally live with the family, and they'd be like a full-time bar manager for the private members club, so they were on site all the time. And he said in that forgotten bedroom, it used to be just full of old furniture that they reckon dated back to the 1920s, when it had, because this is in the 1960s, maybe 1970s, but there was just furniture left when the family sold the house and moved out. They'd left bits of furniture behind and they'd all got shoved in that room, it wasn't used. But they used to go in there regularly, him and his sister, and there's a rocking chair that would move, just rock on its own. In that. Now that's long gone, I've never seen it, but yeah, in that forgotten bedroom, apparently there was a rocking chair that worked on its own. And one other thing I forgot as well, I've never told anybody this, and it's not, I don't think it's like a big secret, but after the battle royale was over to stop this building from being sold and it became mine, I do remember, you know when you said about being called to the building, I don't know why I did this, but I stood in that central hallway and I thanked the building. I was so pleased to have been able to save it. And that was long before it became the nightclub and all the other things that it became. But I've always felt warmth from this building. It's always felt like a good building, a friendly building to me. It would appear not always to everybody, but I think that there's something in this building that likes me and knows that I care about it, and that I intend to be carried out of here in a wooden box before they burn me on the Viking pyre that they build the boat and everything.
I love it.
Well, you have a coffin down there.
You what?
You have a coffin down there, ready to go.
Yeah, well, no. that's a show one. That will probably fall apart. But no, but I fully intend to be carried out of here, and that will be the end, and this building will be intact and outlive me.
Maybe
it's crazy that you say that, though, that there's like something here that's like likes you and likes the fact that you're like keeping up with the building, because the woman last night that was speaking to us, she kept saying that she's protecting us and that bad things have happened here, but she was protecting us and she was trying to tell us her story. She liked that we were here, and she wanted to keep us in the red room because the bad stuff happened everywhere else in the house.
Interesting.
Which is
it all made sense.
This is not unusual. I told Colin, I didn't tell you anything about that before you did your investigation last night. But everything you said has happened again and again and again. There's a lot of repeats of what you're talking about, particularly in relation to that red bedroom. Lesser so in the forgotten bedroom, mainly the red bedroom, but I've heard that from an absolute ton of ghost hunters and investigators. Same thing. Not always precisely exactly every beat of what you're saying, but basically the same story again and again and again.
That's crazy. I was telling him about
to be honest with you, I'll tell you what's crazy, disbelieving this.
Yeah, honestly.
Thinking that all there is matter.
Yeah.
That's all we are. There's no souls, there's no spirits, there's no other dimensions. That's insane. And if you believe that, I think you're an empty vessel.
Exactly.
You need to get filled. You need to get some life in you, because this is not this crude material. Luminous beings are we, said the great Yoda, and he was quite right.
I love it.
At the end of the day, the Antwerp mansion is a place filled with mystery. It's a place filled with history that we still don't completely understand. Our evidence seemed to point to the existence of some sort of a cult of powerful rich men that were targeting women in some form of ritual inside of the mansion's halls. But is that true? Did something like that really exist? Even if it did, there's really no way that we would know. That's not the sort of history that they'd write down on papers or want to preserve. These are things that are done in the shadows, that are purposefully hidden from us, so that these freaks can never be caught. Are there bodies buried outside of the Antwerp mansion? When we asked Andy off camera, he said that they've never done any sort of search in the wooded area that surrounds the home. Our evidence was pointing to bodies being buried in the, quote, woods. Could these trees behind the mansion be a former dumping ground of victims of a cult? Or is this all just a figment of our imagination? I guess that's the beauty of ghost hunting in general. The mystery, the bizarre stories, and the investigating. I don't really know what to say, but at the end of the day, we'll never forget our night at the Antwerp mansion. Thank you all for watching. This is our first episode from our Europe series, and it's only going to get darker from here. Hello.